we should have a right to work without being forced in the union. We shouldn't be forced in an association with anyone that we otherwise wouldn't choose to be involved in. And we certainly shouldn't be compelled to pay dues to an organization that we don't want to be a member of, that the government tells us we don't have to be a member of, but we still have to pay. I mean, when you're forced to pay dues to somebody that you're not going to be a member of the organization, that's membership by default. I mean, you are a member, you just don't get to vote at that point, right? So, of course, we've introduced a package of bills. When Representative Rohr was in the House, he was one of the prime sponsors. Representative Rapp is one of the prime sponsors of one of the bills. Representative Creighton, Representative Cox. Is Jim here today? And Representative Rapp is with us, and Representative Creighton is retiring. We're going to be seeing some new sponsors in the next session on those bills. I have the umbrella bill. That's the overall right-to-work bill, House Bill 50. And we had developed a publication along the way. It's entitled Pennsylvania Open Workforce Initiative. And you can get it off our website. You can get it off my website at repmetcalfe.com. It's being updated with statistics. But it's a resource that you could use if you chose to, if you wanted something, to be able to hand out to friends or neighbors or folks that you're trying to help educate on the issue of right to work. But for me, as I've tried to sell this, and when we talk to our leadership and try and sell it to our leadership, and they're always talking jobs, 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 although the speaker at the PLC conference, I think, went more with what the direction that Mike went, was saying people don't want a job, they want a career. And you just don't want a job that's here today and gone tomorrow. You want something that you can enjoy and feel productive in and contribute to society through and provide for your family. But right to work is a huge economic issue. And as you look at the statistics across the country in right-to-work states, it's proven time and time again, if you want to see jobs created, you want right to work. So why isn't our leadership embracing it on both sides of the aisle? Well, the governor said he'll sign the bill, right? Did everybody hear that? Yeah. The governor said he'll sign it. He's not investing any political capital in trying to help us get it, but he'll sign it. He signs a lot of good things. He waits for us to do the work. He'll sign it. Signed our tort reform bill, right? Signed Castle Doctrine. Signed our sprinkler repeal bill. I mean, we've passed some good legislation. The governor will sign it, but he won't invest a lot of capital in helping us get it. And we need a governor that will do that. We need him to step up with us here as we move into his second year of being in office. But right to work really is an issue of dollars and cents. It really is an issue that costs us nothing to enact policy-wise, but it makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
But some of the statistics, when you look through, and we were updating statistics with the most recent census numbers. Right-to-work states experience higher private sector employment than forced due states. And according to the U.S. Department of Labor, over the last 10 years, private sector employment fell in the compulsory unionism states by 5.5%, while in private sector employment, right-to-work states, you see an increase by 0.3%. So not a huge increase because, of course, who do we have in office?
Yep.
Who do we have in office that's killing jobs in America?
Obama.
I'm not going to be real long up here. We'll be done by 1:30. Everybody on their way back, but help you get a little boost of energy before you hit the trail for home. Right-to-work states experience higher growth in private sector employee compensation. Over the last 10 years, we've seen 11.3% growth in private sector employee compensation, as opposed to only 0.7% in non-right-to-work states, in compulsory unionism states. A huge, huge difference. And the 0.7% in the non-right-to-work states, in the compulsory unionism states, is way below the 4.3% national average. Right-to-work states have more people covered by private employment-based health insurance. I mean, that's not a statistic I really thought about too much until we started doing the research. But over the last 10 years, we've seen in the right-to-work states where you've had a lot more people covered by private insurance than you have in the non-right-to-work states. Right-to-work states have less people on welfare. Can you imagine? People actually have jobs and welfare. Right-to-work states experience greater growth in the number of residents between 25 and 34. Isn't that something? In a state where we've seen out-migration of our youth and in-migration of illegal aliens to take up some of those jobs. We've seen our youth leaving Pennsylvania. When I first came into office after the first 2 years, we had the 2000 census, and we saw the youth leaving. And that was part of what we used, as we called for zero growth budgets over the years, and with Sam and I a number of us that were working on that to try and rein in the excessive spending that's sending people out of the state in search of jobs elsewhere because we're killing jobs in Pennsylvania. But the statistics are really amazing. When you look at the statistics over the last 10 years from the most recent census, 9.2% growth in residents 25 to 34 in right-to-work states. 9.2% growth in that age group in those states. When you look at the overall national average, it was 3.2% that you have, 3.2%, which is way below the statistics for our right-to-work states. And when you looked at Pennsylvania, we were in the negative. We were running negative, and we're losing our youth. Of course, they're going elsewhere looking for jobs, going elsewhere to enjoy their freedom, going elsewhere to enjoy the fruits of their labor, right? The most recent 2012 ALEC Laffer State Economic Competitiveness Index actually dropped us on another ranking on where we're at with other states. We're 40th out of 50 in economic outlook. And of course, we've lost congressional seat after congressional seat, losing yet this year another congressional seat, two that we lost back in 2000. You know, but I think for those that are in the union, and as you get to talk to those folks, I mean, this is an issue of accountability, right? I mean, how can they hold their leadership accountable if their leadership is guaranteed their dues, and not only their dues, but the dues of people who don't even want to be members? I mean, you would think that union members would understand this and embrace having right to work to hold their leadership accountable. I mean, I love Kurt's award. I mean, he gives us something more to aspire to now as members still in the House to try and achieve such an award from the unions. It's really something. The only thing they've done for me is write a song about me. I was at the Fayette, well, it's hi ho, Metcalfe has to go. I was out in Fayette County, and Katie Abrams showed up from AFP to speak at the event that I was speaking at and receiving an award at that night. And Katie had shared that she went by the Capitol, and Teamsters were up there singing away. So maybe someday I'll get the same type of award as Kurt, but I can still aspire to that level of achievement. So congratulations on that one too. But it's just amazing that the union members themselves won't embrace that new change to give them more accountability to their leadership. And we need to sell them on that aspect of it. You know, when I was asked by Susan's staff, what are you going to speak on today? I said, well, it's right to work luncheon. I thought I'd be expected to speak on right to work, so I came ready to speak on right to work. And I think right to work is a very important issue for us at the Capitol, but it's not being embraced that way. And we need your help to make that happen, because it will not be embraced until the public demands that it's embraced, that their representative government actually represent them and protect their freedom. But the unions get it. I mean, they understand what's at stake here for them in this fight, and that's why, when you look back at how AFSCME had given money out during the 2010 election cycle, that out of the almost $1 million that they gave away, 94% of it, 94% went to Democrats. You know, it should be 100. I would encourage them to give 100% to Democrats so we can get rid of some of the rhinos. But we do have one of my colleagues in the House, I understand now, that started his own PAC to protect those union-loving Republicans. And for them to love the union and to love that over the interest of the taxpayer, I think shows that they don't love freedom. Now, I was on a board recently out in Pittsburgh, and one of my constituents said, Daryl, you've got to come to this. You've got to come speak at this, because they've got Democrats on this panel, and they've got a Republican, but he's from Beaver County, and he sounds like the Democrats. So you've got to come to our panel discussion. So my schedule cleared, and I said, well, I'm going to come down to the panel discussion, and he was right. He was exactly right. It was like I was the only Republican on the panel talking against a bunch of Democrats, and I thought I'd get the last word because I'd been outnumbered the whole time. John Delano, who was the moderator, had said I'd get the last word, but right after I finished up, my Republican colleague from Beaver County spouted up. It's like, well, can I say one more thing? And wanted to chime in that, well, we're not representing the special interests of the unions. We're just representing our constituents or union members. And guess what? The minority of which are your constituents. I mean, they don't make up the majority of your constituents. Represent the taxpayers. Represent the Constitution. Protect the Constitution. You're getting oath to do.